Did you know that house prices in the UK have risen by 70% in the last 10 years? This has been driven wildly from COVID and other things, and generally 7% per year for a 10-year period equals a 70% growth. Now that is something to take home to the bank. Hi, I'm Steve Potter, one of the hosts of Property Legacy podcast, and here's Alice Potter, my daughter, who's here to support, ask all the awkward questions, and get as much information out of me as possible.
Yes, and I very much enjoy doing that. Welcome to the Property Legacy podcast. We are here for season 3 and we're super excited. We're back here to present all of your questions, all of your burning questions about property. We are here to answer. So today we're going to talk about the ultimate guide to building a property portfolio. What do you actually need? How do we create clarity around a property portfolio? Because when we say property portfolios to people that haven't even purchased their first property, it seems way out of reach. So what are the steps and how do you make that journey to starting out with your first investment to building a property portfolio over time? And it's important to know that time is a massive aspect of this. Building a portfolio isn't a fast approach. It's going to take on average 10 to 15 years and a lot of commitment, but you will reap the rewards as it grows and you will learn a lot along the way. We have learned a lot so far.
We have.
And we're here to teach you all about it.
Yeah, so a lot of people misread of what they can achieve in 12 months. They overestimate what they can achieve in 12 months, but underestimate what they can achieve in 5 to 10 years. So people think that property is going to be a get-rich-quick scheme, and they're going to be a millionaire by the end of the year, but only if you've got £1 million to put it in the first place and buy all the property, and then, yes, you'll be a millionaire. So the idea is to approach the whole process of building a portfolio as a business. Not as something you're just going to do and dabble at home and buy in your own name. You need to buy in a company structure and create a business and then build that portfolio over time.
And I think it's important to say too, people do these things as side hustles or passion projects. It can be that, but it has to be seen as a business. Yeah.
When I started, I was working full time. I was away a lot. So even though I was doing a 13-hour shift, in between that, at lunchtimes, before I started work, after work, I was looking at courses, I was doing work towards building a portfolio. And it was all done over a period of time, and it was done step by step, making a couple of mistakes, then sorting them out, and then stepping up again. And it was just that process, hard work, grind of process to get to the point where we could say we have a portfolio.
Yes, definitely. So obviously we see it all the time, this people wanting to be financially free. Mm-hmm. And it is a process. You don't become financially free in a week or a month or even a year. It is going to take time, but it's all about making sure that you have multiple different streams of income and setting them up throughout that time so that you know what money is definitely coming in, which can help fuel the additional projects that you've got going forward and help to continue to build your property portfolio. And there's lots of mistakes that can be made along the way. Chasing quick profits, lack of strategy or poor financing, things like that are really, really vital in order to move the needle. A lot of people think that they can get one property and things are going to go well. Things are going to go wrong. In any business, in any investment, it's not all going to be smooth sailing, and it really is a process of learning and developing and expanding your knowledge and your skill set that then actually gives you the skills to do that again and do it again and do it again and build a portfolio. If it was that simple, every single person that you know would be in property, and they're not. So can you talk a little bit about what things over the last few years of you setting up your property portfolio you know, what are things that you fell short on, and things that if you could go back, you could give yourself advice on. What's that? What are the types of things that you would go back and kind of do differently?
Yeah, well, as I said, everybody will make mistakes, and everybody doesn't know how to do everything perfect. And there'll never be a point that you do everything perfect. So you never get to the point where everything's perfect. Every deal you do is just run smoothly. So, first thing I did wrong, the first 3 properties I bought was in my name. I didn't buy in a company structure.
That is a rookie mistake.
That is a rookie's mistake. I then went and got educated and knew what I'd done wrong and how to sort it out. But I talk to people all the time that have done this. And
we've spoken to people on the podcast that have done this.
Yeah, exactly. It's not unusual.
No.
Because it's an easy step to get wrong. And if you don't know what you don't know.
No.
And that is, unfortunately, the way the world is, and you need to get in a good education. So you need to set yourself up with the right mindset that you are going to be determined, you are going to put all your effort into it, and you will work long hours. A lot of people say, well, you know, how do you manage what you do? And I start at 5 o'clock in the morning and generally finish at 6 at night. And on certain times of the month, I then also go out for networking at night time.
Yes.
So, for instance, tomorrow we're in Manchester, so I'll be up at 5, and we'll probably get back at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
So that is the amount of effort I'm willing to put into building a portfolio and to build my group of companies.
And something that I find, especially in business as an entrepreneur myself, you have to set goals every day, and you have to set non-negotiable tasks of how you're going to move the needle, because it's really easy to go, oh, here's all these little things that I need to do in day to day that are going to get me through, but how are you actually moving yourself further towards your goal every single day? And whether that means getting up earlier and working out for an hour or 2 hours, or spending an hour listening to something like this that's going to give you the education, some additional education, and some kind of learning points to keep some key points to kind of take forward in learning. You know, what are you doing? What are you listening to whilst you're doing those things as well? Because you can actually be working on your goal and listening to a podcast, and you're actually taking information in whilst you're working towards that goal, which is incredible, really, if you think about the way we take in information. And it can actually really, really help you if you're making sure that you are actually accessing the stuff that's going to give you that positive mindset. But mindset plays a huge role in everything that you do. And yeah, time is a big thing. You have to invest that time. The majority of the time, you actually invest more time than it is money. Yeah, and it's just as valuable.
When you're setting up any business,
yeah.
You will be the lowest paid person in the world.
Yes.
And when you first start, the loneliest as well, because it's very lonely. Setting a business up, being an entrepreneur, being a property investor, it's all lonely stuff. Mm-hmm. Until you meet people like us, and we help you build your team, and you help to get people around you, so do networking. Always read books to educate yourself. Always look at a book as the author is your mentor, and you will learn from them. Now, one little tip I was given just the other week was, if you've got a physical book that you're going to read, and I know a lot of people don't have physical books, but you could have the Kindle version and that type of thing. If you're listening to the audio version at the same time, you're taking more information in. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing to take into account. Every morning you should be reading something, you should be writing something, you should be looking after yourself, taking time to work on your business, not work in your business. You want to work on it. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean you sit down for the first 2 hours of the day and answer emails. That's no. You could leave the emails to the last thing of the day, because it doesn't matter whether you answer them first thing in the morning or last thing in the day, you're still going to answer them that day. So leave it longer if you possibly can. The other thing is working on your business to say, right, this project, whether you're going to write a book, whether you're going to buy the next property, whether you're going to, whatever you're going to do, that's the one thing you're working on. Try to stay away from working on 10 different things at once, which I always do.
We're both very, very good for that.
But work on that one thing, and if you want good book recommendations, we'll add them to the description below. Generally, everybody has done this before, so you can learn from people who write books, you can learn from the podcast, you can learn from your competitors, you can learn from other people doing this, just by talking to people.
Yeah, I've been listening to Mel Robbins' podcast at the moment, and she's the lady that has kind of honed the let them theory, if anyone's not heard of it. And she talks so much on that podcast. I've been trying to listen to it in the morning when I'm kind of planning for my day and doing a bit of journaling. And I really, really am enjoying listening to it. And she always says, you know, everything that you want to do, somebody else has already done. So people worry all the time, oh, people are going to think that I'm copying. Everything that you could potentially possibly do, someone out there has already done it. You want to launch a website, someone else has already launched a website. You want to launch a social media page. You want to do a book. You want to do a podcast. You want to buy a property. You want to work with investors. Someone's done it, and you shouldn't see that as a negative. You should see it as a positive, because there's so many people out there that are proof that you can also do it too. It's just having that mindset and being able to have that shift to go, well, that person did it, so can I. And it's making sure that we make that real time to make sure we move the needle all the time.
Yeah. And the whole point is things will be slow at first. You won't have huge wins every single day of the week. But by focusing on the goal of becoming a property investor, could be years down the line. It could be 6 months down the line. But at the end of the day, you need to enjoy the process of getting there. Because if you group things to do every day, that if you complete that, you're a step closer, then you accomplish things every day. If you're waiting that you'd not accomplish anything until you have 10 properties, then you'll probably stop halfway through. You'll fail after the first one, because you're not enjoying the process going forwards. If you don't enjoy the process, you won't do it.
It's all about small wins as well, and it might be you have 10 tasks and each one of them tasks only takes you 1 minute, but you have another task which is is going to take you an hour to do. So it's deciding what the best way is to use your time. Is it better that you spend 10 minutes on them 10 tasks and know you've got, that they've been achieved, or do you know that spending an hour when you know you have 10 other things to do, but spending an hour on something solely in it will move you further along, because you've always got those 10 minutes extra in the day to do those little tasks. So it's time blocking your day or your morning, and whatever time, whether you're working extra in the morning or in the evening, making sure that you set things out in an order and in a structure that make it easier for you to move through those tasks and to time block it out properly.
We've all got the same amount of time during the day, but it's just how you use your time. And quite often, if you get to the point where you got lots of little things that need doing, which are repetitive, they're admin tasks, they're making sure that the receipts are done, and get somebody else to do it. There's lots of people out there who use Fiverr, you use VAs, use all these services out there. They're all little businesses that you can support by doing this, but then it allows you to work on that one thing that's going to bring in you 10,000 or 60,000 or the next big flip or the next big thing that you're working on. And you concentrate on the big stuff, the little stuff will sort themselves out.
Yes. So your business only starts if you put your whole self into it. We can say it's a side hustle, we can say it's a passion project, but until you're at that point where you're ready to really put your all into it, then you're never going to move closer to that goal. So it's all about what can you implement right now in year 1 or year 2 or year 5 that your year 5 or 10 or 15 self will thank you for.
Yeah. I was on not a podcast, but I was on a webinar the other week, all to do with the Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
And they were talking about goals, because it's the beginning of 2025, and how do you set up your goal? And they said the actual point of a goal isn't to hit the goal. It's to become the person that can hit the goal regularly. So if you're wanting to be a property investor, if you're wanting to be a business owner or an entrepreneur, then yeah, you will get there. But your goal, you might hit, you might not hit. It doesn't matter. It's the process of you getting there and becoming that person that can do that job.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, you may not know that you can do that job.
No.
You may not have the right education. You may need to work on certain education, certain gaps in your knowledge, so that in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years down the line, you are that person.
And your environment is such an essential part of that. Who you're choosing to spend your time with, who's a drain on your energy, you know.
The vampires.
Well, you could have friends that are great, but all they want you to do in your spare time is go to the pub and drink with them every single night. They're quite happy to do that, and that's not anything against that. I love going for a drink with my friends at the pub every once in a while, but those every night after work at the pub, that time that you're putting into that, even if you change that to I go one night and the 4 nights I go home and I work on something, it gets you nearer to what you're wanting to achieve. So for me, especially as an entrepreneur in the space that we're in, my life's changed quite a lot dramatically over the last 18 months, because it's the people that I choose to be around. And the people that I choose to be around are people that if I come to them and I say, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to achieve, they say, that's amazing. How are we going to achieve? How can we help you? Not, oh, I couldn't imagine doing anything like that. Or like the people that when you're saying, oh, I'm going to invest in a property and I want to build a property portfolio, and they just go, you know, like, it's not a game of Monopoly. Like, I don't understand. If they don't understand what you're trying to achieve, it's really difficult to have these types of conversations that they're going to actually even entertain it. You need people that actually go, that's amazing. Or they've got similar interests in similar fields or things like that. You need to be around those people, because those people are the people that are going to push you on days where everything's gone to shit and you need some advice, or you feel like you're one more day from quitting and just going back to a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You need those people in your life to keep you going.
If you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be an entrepreneur in a property, having in your mind, well, if it doesn't work out, I can go back to being whatever, postman or teacher, or whatever you were before or now, that just gives you a get out clause, and you'll never ever put in the effort. You'll never ever do it. You have to go for it, and there's that old saying of burning your boats, burning your bridges, because there's no way back. That's the way you've got to look at it.
You have to reinvent your new life and reinvent a mindset that says, it's not even what if it doesn't work out. The only option is it's going to work out and it's going to change your life. That's it. And that mindset shift comes over time. It isn't something that can be done straight away. But once you shift into that other side, that's when you start elevating, because you know in yourself, it's got to work. If something goes wrong, it's fine, because everything works itself out, and we continue and we keep going, and we think of other strategies or ways around things, or a plan B. It's okay to have a plan B in certain scenarios. What it isn't okay to do is have a fallback to go, oh, it's fine, I'll just go back to that, which I was miserable in the first place. The majority of the time, we want to run these businesses and start these businesses because there's something that we know that we're destined for, which is better than what we're currently in right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, anything is possible. If you can think it, you can do it, but you need to put a hell of a lot of effort into it, and that's what puts 99% of people off, and that's why 99% of businesses fail within the first year or 5 years. But at the end of the day, you put the effort in, you're going to work towards your goal no matter what, because there is no other option. you will get there. You will become that person that will be able to achieve it. Whether you get help from mentors, whether you get help from watching podcasts, whether you get help from the people you surround yourself with. But if you surround yourself with the right people that will help you in a positive way and not hold you back, then you will make it. At times you feel like you're pulling your family and everybody along with you, and you have to prove to them that it works, and you have to prove to them that there's a way forwards. And at times, there will be times where you're thinking, oh crap, there's no way out. And then you think, what happens if I do that? Right, we'll do this then. And you just keep going, and you keep going, and keep plodding away. Just like walking up a hill. If you keep plodding, you'll get there. If you stop and sit down and go back down the hill, you'll never get there.
And it's so important to trust your instinct and your gut as well. It can be so easy to see what other people are doing and just completely just go, of course, we're doing something else. And actually, if you're setting yourself a goal, it's continuing to walk towards it. Yeah, you can see what other people are doing. So say we're talking about walking uphill, you can see other people potentially going up other paths. That's fine. You wave them, you watch them go, you have a great time, but I'm going this way. This is the way I'm going, because so many businesses fail or procrastinate because they're too busy watching what everybody else is doing and not just doing what they know they should be doing.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, if you've got a goal, make sure you write it down.
Yes.
Make sure you look at it on a regular basis. Now, on my phone, I have my goal, my highest goal, my mission on the front, on there. So every time I look at my phone, whether it's closed or whatever, it's there. It also pops up as a reminder every single day. It also pops up, are we hitting the targets for this week? Are we hitting the targets for this month? Are we hitting the targets for this quarter? All of this is systemized so that I know at any one time what my goal is and where I am in that point of getting there. And yeah, it can be quite selfish to say, I'm doing all this so I get X amount of money per month. But by doing that, you then look at why you're doing that, and it brings your family money. It means you can have time with them and spend holidays, and you can invest for their future. It means your business will work and you can hand it on to somebody else or even sell it at some point. Mm-hmm. All of this needs to be driven, and you need to be a driven type of person.
Yeah.
Okay, so to sum it all up, which we did go off at tangents at the time because we're like that, but to sum this up, building a timeless property portfolio is all about strategy. It's all about your time and how you use it, your mindset. That is definitely a big one. Smart financial leverage. So the more you can leverage money you have and time you have, the more effect you'll have on it at the end. And all of this comes and gets underpinned by the people that you surround yourself with and the way you network, the way you talk to people and get advice, and you take that advice on board. There are going to be people that are negative, but look for the positives in everybody.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Property Legacy Podcast. If you like what you've heard, then make sure that you give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Or if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have more of you joining us in our community. And you'll be notified of any of our uploads as soon as they are live. Make sure that you tune in every Monday at 7 p.m. on our social media channels. So we're on LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube. Steve is live every Monday at 7 p.m. for a Q&A session. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any questions for us, do let us know, any feedback, and we will see you for the next episode of the Property Legacy Podcast. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.